choices, both simple and life-changing. Something that's not a choice, addiction to opioids. But even if you have opioid use disorder, you still have a choice. By choosing treatment, you choose family, your career, and your life on your terms. Choose more for yourself and choose Change California. Find a medically proven treatment option that's right for you at choosechangeca.org.
Make a difference in people's lives. Join the ResCare team today. Their team of passionate caregivers has been making a difference in people's lives since 1974. ResCare is now hiring direct support professionals, licensed vocational nurses, and licensed psychiatric technicians to provide direct care to those with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Northern California. Why choose ResCare Community Living? They offer schedule flexibility and full-time and part-time positions are available. You can start immediately. They offer employee benefits. Daily pay options is available and a $10,000 sign-on bonus. Go to rescarecommunityliving.com/California to apply. That's rescarecommunityliving.com/California. ResCare is now hiring direct support professionals, licensed vocational nurses, and licensed psychiatric technicians to provide direct care to those with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Northern California. Make a difference in people's lives. Join the ResCare team today. Apply today at rescarecommunityliving.com/California.
Modeling experience, so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A Jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895 right now and get 50% off installations with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-826-9895. That's 800-826-9895.
Having an extra $400,000 goes a long way in retirement. Do you have questions about creating dependable retirement income, minimizing losses, slashing your fees in half, cutting taxes, an actual plan? We'll cover all this on our free weekly webinars held Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. and Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Go to www.peakfin.com, that's PEAKFIN.com, and click on our $1 Million Retirement webinar right now. Save your spot.
Investment Solutions, LLC, a California registered investment advisor. Insurance were offered through PFFG Insurance Agency, LLC, California Insurance License number 0N14013.
I'm a better neighbor because my service has taught me how important it is to be a team player. My training helps me in my classes when I give attention to detail to the task at hand. My service also allows me to be there for my community in ways others can't. I help my hometown recover after nature strikes. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country and those I care about safe from threat. I also work with a network of professionals that help me succeed. Also, the Army National Guard's education benefits make getting a higher education a reality. Being an Army National Guard soldier makes living and serving in my community more rewarding every day. Learn more about how you too can live and serve part-time close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
11, 182 over 100. And I had a heart attack and a cardiac arrest. And then a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life.
A lot of people don't understand, including myself. I didn't, now I do, the impact of having a stroke. My memory is shot. When I woke up, I couldn't speak.
Lowering your high blood pressure could save you from a heart attack or stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
It's a new life, but I'm going to make it better. I'll come back. Ask your doctor, check your blood pressure.
Brought to you by the American Heart Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922. 800-375-2922.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Your future, your dreams. These things are none of our business. Your symptoms, your work from home sweatpants, and whatever you were searching for at 1:15 a.m. That's really business. Because your life is private. And unlike other tech companies, we think your internet should be too. Oh, who's that from? Oh, that's none of our business either. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Share my new $6 25-piece Tiny Tacos Big Box and 3 dipping sauces with your friends or your best friends. Only at Jack in the Box.
Price and participation may vary, and they are delicious. Jack shared his Tiny Tacos Big Box with me just now. Oh my gosh, are we best friends?
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C Sports. This is Charlton with Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe. Of course, the people who love sports all spare another word today is a beautiful January the 5th, 2022. Cuando Deportes. Bonjour, the Bitty Bitty Beach, as I say. Welcome to the show. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, just tell them Charlton Big C Sports Central, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, you can follow Big C Sports on 20 podcast applications. Really do appreciate that. You can go to Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker, Apple Podcast, iHeart-Radio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast. You can find us on Podcast Addict Podcast, also Chaser Podcast, and now I need to catch my breath. Give that some praise. I learned to count to 10. Give that some praise. If I count to 10, you think it's all funny. It's okay. You can also follow Big C Sports on Geozabon Podcast out of London, England, Podtail Podcast, YouTube Podcast, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line Podcast, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast. Listen to those podcasts. You can also follow Big C Sports #20. That's Podcast Wise. Give that some praise. I said give it some praise. You can follow Big C Sports on 20 podcast applications all over the universe and 4 TV applications. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Give that some praise. 4 TV applications streaming with Big C Sports. Really do appreciate that. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. All fair and love and war. I really do like the way things have grown with Big C Sports. I love taking the time to pay homage to my family legacy on a beautiful January the 5th, 2022 from my great-grandmother on my mother's side, Mamo. Just a great, wonderful grandmother, great-grandmother, made everything great for everybody, especially growing up as a young boy. My grandfather, Pop, my great-grandfather, Pop, known for making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. Also, for saying, boy, get out of that barn. Get out of that barn. I can't tell you. But also a very intelligent man. Actually, former Negro League baseball player as well. Really do appreciate that. And then my grandmother, Muddy, she was a seer. Just a very savvy business person. Very good with reading people, telling you what's good to do in life. Also, my grandfather, Hezekiah, another great business person and keeping the family strong. My beautiful mother helped start a Head Start program and a food program in Northern California, and also helped win the Little League Championship of the universe. Give that some praise. I said, give that some praise. Give mama some praise. A Head Start program, a food program, and helping win the Little League Championship of the universe. How many people can say that? And love it, we're always saying rise and shine. Really do appreciate that. On my father's side, the matriarch of the family, my grandmother, Alberta Curry, she was just a wonderful grandmother, business person, helped my grandfather start 2 service stations in Oakland, California, also built 2 churches and built the 3rd church in Central California. And my grandfather, Albert Curry, very intelligent businessman, again with 2 service stations in Oakland, California, also 2 churches, built the 3rd church in Northern California. Really do appreciate the intelligence of him. And then my father, retired Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, making sure that planes could fly high so we could all stay safe at night. Really do appreciate that. And then my brother, Todd, with his bombastic voice, always saying, excuse me, did I break your concentration? Voice is trying to sound like lightning when Todd would talk. And then I also want to just pay homage to my beautiful son, Malcolm. He's a college student, very intelligent, gives me NBA stats all over it, knows the NBA inside and out. Very intelligent college kid. And my daughter, Daisy, also would help me set up for events when coaches would come to the West Coast to get the information for Big C Sports. And then Big C, with his wealth of knowledge, all the stuff in the past, when they do appreciate that, give them all some praise. I say give them all some praise. everybody needs somebody to help them out in life, and I really do appreciate everybody that's been a blessing in my life with Big C Sports Podcast. That's why I love saying, let's get ready to rumble! ESPY nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I really do appreciate the ESPY nomination to Disney Corporation, and everybody knows that life is fair when you get the chance to compete, just want to compete. Let's get ready to rumble. There's no scripts, no three-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I always honor God. I produce the show. I direct all the topics. I broadcast every show. And then I even do the sound effects based on what's provided by the agency. Everybody needs sound effects in their life, if that makes sense to you. And then I do, outside of the commercials that are done by the agency in New York City, I provide the stats, I provide the storytelling, and I also do you're going to hear more of this coming up in the year. Steph Curry for 3! Really do appreciate that. Doing that with Big C Sports Podcast. Also, I upload the show it goes out to the platform that goes out to 20 podcast applications all over the world. Started with Salem Media back in September 12, 2015, and now Big C Sports is strong on the scene. I love honoring God. One of my favorite verses growing up was Genesis chapter 13, verse 15. It says, "For all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever." In the book of James, chapter 4, verse 2, said, "You have not because we ask not." So if you want something to just ask, the answer is always yes or no. But if you don't ask, it's definitely no. If you ask, you get a chance for yes. How about $610 million? How about that? I'm asking for that tonight. Claim it, claim it, claim it, claim it, claim it. Claim it, claim it, claim it, claim it, claim it. $610 million. That's just about $100 million less than Patrick Mahomes claimed with Lee Steinberg. In level war, really do appreciate having fun with Big C Sports Podcast. I also want to make sure that I pay homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline, because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Everybody goes through something in life. If you're real, everybody has peaks and valleys in their life. Maybe that's how the good Lord made it. There's also, we have winter, we have spring, summer, and fall, and everybody goes through different changes in life. But veterans, they have a reach out line they can call to 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And they will stand on their head to make sure you get some help and give the Veterans Crisis Hotline some praise. I said, give it some praise. Come on, you can do better than that. Give it praise, praise, praise. They always make sure that people get the help they need. You just got to pick up the phone and make the call. Really do appreciate having that. Also want to say thank you to Xfinity Comcast TV and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3. God said, let there be light. Play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see our app pop up from all over the world. That means from sea to shining sea. The world never set on the British Empire, and the world never says on Big C Sports Podcast, and I really appreciate that. You gotta rise and shine. That's the only way to happen, by rising and shining every single day. Really do appreciate that. According to the great Grant Cardone. Also very happy to be affiliated with ValleyHomesWeekly.com for those of you in real estate. Also, if you want to know what's going on in real estate in your neck of the woods, go to the NationalRealEstatePost.com. That's the NationalRealEstatePost.com. If you want to know what's going on with mortgage rates, and they are starting to creep up all over the country, go to MortgageDailyNews.com. That's MortgageDailyNews.com, and you can find out what's going on in your neck of the woods. Also, part of the Big C team, unsecured funding between $10,000 and $400,000 in funding can be used for any purpose for business startups, real estate investments, repairs, and renovations. Working capital, working people, working capital, down payment assistance, investing in stock, debt consolidation, and also student loans that I believe the Biden administration will pay off. The student loans for people who graduate. I believe they should do that. That would be a sea change for the administration. Work with over 240 lenders, that 240 lenders that are waiting to fund you. Remember, when you go into your bank, you either get approved or you get denied. If you get denied, think about 240 lenders. You have that with the Big C team, looking to recruit all-star agents and brokers all over this country to help put people back to work and give them access to funding. Again, between $10,000 and $400,000 in funding that can be used for any purpose. Minimum requirements, 650 credit score, 27,000 annual income adjusted. No new lines of credit in the last 6 months, 2 years of consistent income. You have that with the Big C team. When the banks say no, give the Big C a chance to say yes to you, the Big C team. When they say yes, you just got to make the call. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Anywhere in the United States of America. Really do appreciate that with the Big C team. Also, I want to say, I really do appreciate everything that's happening in the world of sports. If you're out there in the sports betting world, please be careful. Don't bet more than you can lose. For example, I'm going to say I just won the $610 million in the Powerball tonight. Yes, it may lightning strike. It may lightning strike. Yes, but think about it. You got to say it. You got to believe. You got to believe. You got to believe. And I do believe. I still believe. I still believe. I still believe. But I want to make sure that when you guys bet, I can't tell people what to do, but there's always bookies that call and say, hey, I got the winning numbers for the lotto tonight. Give me $500 and I'll make sure you win. If they know $600 million is going to be won, then why would they ask you for $500 to split the pot with you? It's the same thing with sports betting. They have the winning team. They have the winning game. They know the point spread. They know all that. If that's the case, why would they split the pot with you? They can keep that money for themselves. Never bet more than you can afford to lose, and that comes to you from the Big C team. Give that some praise. Give it common sense some praise. Give it all some praise. Really do appreciate that. Got some stuff coming up on NFL football power rankings, also the NHL top 15, and I'm going to talk about some of the college bowl games and which conferences scored the best in the college football. And we do have the SEC that are going to play for the national championship coming up on January the 10th. And Indianapolis, Indiana, why not play that game down in Georgia or in New Orleans or even Texas? That's where the fans would have an easier time getting there, but they've already set it in schedules, all fair and level war. I also want to say thank you to Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, but it is 100% honest game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, you want to eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this you got to eat. Give that some praise. It tastes better in your mouth than it does in your hand, and I know that because I've tried it myself. I guarantee it. Most things taste better in your mouth than they do in your hands, but you got to get it out of your hands and into your mouth. My pastor said, oh, so funny. Pastor said, there's a lot of good news. Got a lot of good news. And some prayers. He was talking to God, and he said they got a lot of good news. They had a leaky roof that was in the church, and he says the good news is we found some carpenters that could repair it. You know, Jesus was a carpenter. The people clap. Yeah, that's good news. Give the carpenter some praise. He said now the bad news is most of the money we need to fix it is still in your wallet. I thought that's funny. Give Pastor some praise for this joke telling. He said it's still in your wallet. Some people say, how about sell that airplane that you're flying around? Hey, may lightning strike. Oh, fair and love sport. Oh, have fun with the Big C Sports Podcast. I love what's going on in the world of sports. Really do appreciate a lot of good things that are happening. And everybody knows it's all about how you feel, where you stand. I mean, LSU had a football game last night against Kansas State, and they had 39 players that were out because of COVID. Isn't that something? Or they pulled out because they didn't want to play the game. And Brian Kelly left Notre Dame for that. Sometimes the grass is not always greener on the other side of the fence. But what is greener on the other side of the fence? The 2022 NFL Big C Power Rankings of the NFL Universe. We got some praise. I'm going to do my best to come up with the Big C's NFL Power Rankings for 2022. And I'll stand in my head if I'm wrong about these Power Rankings. You can't see me if I'm standing in my head or not. But Big C's NFL Power Rankings, there's a lot of great teams for this year. Now that 2021 is all behind us, the New Year's resolution for a lot of players is how do they get their hands on that Vince Lombardi trophy at the end of the year at the Super Bowl 56 in beautiful Southern California. It's going to actually be in Inglewood, Los Angeles counties, all fair and level war. But when you think about some of the growth prospects that teams have to go through, they're still having a chance to back their way into the NFL playoffs. But I love the fact that we still have, I know some people didn't like the fact that the NFL went to 17 games, which means 18 weeks because every team gets a bye week. So 18 weeks, but 17 games. Last year, we only had 16 games in 17 weeks. So they've added another week And I think it's amazing. There's so many great games coming up on the final week of the season to determine if teams can actually get into the playoffs. But I'm going to go with Big C's. I'm going to ask for this because I want to make sure I do it right. Drum roll, please. Number 1 in Big C's NFL football power rankings. Green and gold from Lambeau Field, the frozen tundra. And I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. When you think about how great they've been over this year, they're 13-3. They have touchdown Aaron Rodgers. They have a group of players on the injured reserve, not just any players, but starters, and some Pro Bowlers also have a chance to return for the playoffs. Among them, cornerback Jair Alexander, outside linebacker Zadarius Smith, left tackle David Bakhtiari, center Josh Myers, and wide receiver Randall Cobb. When you think about all of the talent that Green Bay has, they have touchdown thrower, flamethrower Aaron touchdown Rodgers. He talked about just relax. They have a good team. If you're going to beat them, you got to go up on the frozen tundra. That's a big thing, too, in the NFL when you don't have to travel on an airplane to go across the country to play a playoff game. So Green Bay has locked up the home field advantage in the NFC. And it doesn't mean they're going to win or get to the Super Bowl. They had home field advantage last year also. But this is a team. They've been to the NFC Championship the last 2 years. And think about this team. They have lost to San Francisco. They also lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They have something about you 3 times around, something about the number 3. The great Lake Bum Phillips says, last year we knocked on the door, next year we beat on it, this year we're going to kick that zombie in. The Houston Oilers never did kick in the steel curtain of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but something about the number 3, and they are 13-3. And if they finish 14-3, this is the 3rd year that they'll be in the NFC Championship game. Something about numbers. Maybe it's their year this year. Number 2 in Big C's NFL power rankings. I'm going to tell you, everybody has their own opinion about who's the best football team out there. The Kansas City Chiefs, they showed a little bit of hitch in the giddy up in their loss to the Cincinnati Bengals because they were up double digits twice. But I have them at Big C's number 2 in the NFL power rankings. They are 11-5. And they re-signed Tyrann Mathieu. That's the New Year's resolution for them. The Chiefs need to keep Mathieu around, and the contract should not be a problem. They have plenty of money. There's a lot of value in having a player that has the leadership ability in the locker room, also on the field. That good old boy can flat out play defense. The Chiefs would struggle to find all that brings at a lesser price and would take to re-sign him. So it's not about the money when you have billions of dollars in the bank. They got to find a way to keep them happy in Kansas City. You know, it's always hard to get back to the Super Bowl. It's all fair and level war. I'm going to go with number 3, Big C's NFL power rankings. Now, at some time, they have to be thinking about repeat. The defending NFL champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are 12-4, and they have to stay healthy for the postseason. We know what's happened with Antonio Brown, and has he played his last snap? You know, they might just bring him in. I don't know. They might bring him in. Everybody has issues, especially through COVID. A lot of people have had jacked up relationships in COVID. He's no different, but he plays football. Now, the Buccaneers, they have been hurt by injuries and also just players that, with the Antonio Brown situation, Chris Godwin's gone for the year. Leonard Fournette, Levante David, Giovanni Bernard, all on injured reserve. They could come back. The great Shaq Barrett and Jason Pierre-Paul are out because of knee and shoulder injuries. The great touchdown maker Mike Evans just returned from a hamstring injury. How many guys have pulled their hamstrings this year? Antoine Winfield Jr. had foot injury. Ronald Jones II. Think about this. Left Sunday's game because of an ankle injury. Guys are getting just injury after injury, it seems. They can't say it's because of a longer season. We haven't played Game 17 yet. But they're limping into the postseason, and they have lost one of their weapons now with Antonio Brown, who can make any catch. So touchdown Tom Brady, not very mobile, but he has to have receivers who can get open. He just lost another one with Antonio Brown. I think that hurts their chances greatly. I'm going to go number 4 in Big C's NFL power rankings, and I'm just just because of Matthew Stafford. I think he's thrown 12 interceptions in the last 7 games. Can't have that. But the Rams are 12-4. It doesn't look like they're 12-4, though. They're 12-4. They have to stop the turnovers. Matthew Stafford has thrown too many interceptions. And if they think about it, he's a 13-year quarterback, and he's still having a problem reading defenses. You got to get rid of that or the playoffs are going to be over real fast. The Rams would be unstoppable had he just completed or cut down on half of those interceptions. Think about that. He still ranks second in the NFL with 38 passing touchdowns. Unfortunately, some of his touchdown passes have gone to the defense in a pick six. But he's also tied for second with 15 interceptions. They got rid of Jared Goff because he kept turning the ball over. And now they have a guy that's thrown more interceptions than Jared Goff. 4 pick sixes? That leads the league. What is it about defenses that get a lock on Matthew Stafford, and they saw the same thing in Detroit, and the Rams parted the whole sea, the Red Sea, to get him? 15 interceptions leads the league. It's actually tied for second. It's tied for second. But he's making more money than the guy's tied for second with. Think about that. 4 pick sixes, which led the league right now. 4. That's number 1 in the league. Can't have that. The crazy part about the Rams, they have to overcome back-to-back multi-turnover games to win, and they can't have that in the playoffs because you mess up in the playoffs, your season's over. Imagine how good they could be if they can learn to hand off and throw short passes and trust that defense, but they won't do it. Number 5 in Big C's NFL power rankings. I know people don't believe this, but the Tennessee Titans, they're 11-5. They don't look like a number 1 seed in the AFC. And I don't think they're going to win the AFC this year. I just don't believe it. The Titans haven't had a pass rusher finish with double-digit sack total since Brian Orakpo, and he had 10.5 sacks, and that was in 2016. Orakpo did. Landry 12 sacks this season, placed him in a tie with Kyle Vandenbosch for the 5th most in a single season in franchise history. Now the Titans have a decent pass rush, led by Landry, has 41 sacks, the 6th most in the NFL. They do drop Landry into coverage at times, and he's strong against the run. But this Tennessee team, can you really trust them? I mean, I remember they had a great year, and they went into Kansas City, got beaten also. Because in the playoffs, it's a different breed of cat. So they're number 1 seed, but I don't think they're the best team. I still like Kansas City as the number 1 team. Other teams can get hot and cold, but Kansas City, in my opinion, they can win on the road. They can also, with their quarterback touchdown, Patrick Mahomes, they find ways to win big games. So they don't have to be at home to win. I know they went into Cincinnati and they up double digits and they let them off the hook. That won't happen in the playoffs. So number 6 in Big C's NFL power rankings, 10-6, the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are on their way to the playoffs. They need a win over the Jets or the Patriots. Lost to the Dolphins to clinch the division for a 2nd straight year. But that mighty Buffalo Bills, they got to take care of this path in the playoffs much earlier. Instead, the Bills have gone 0-5 and 1-score games. If you keep it close, you got a chance to beat them. The offense having late opportunities to win games or tie, and 4 of those just falling just short. It's not an easy thing to fix. They got to find a way to have the running game working for them in the playoffs. They can't just cut on touchdown Josh Allen to throw his way into a playoff win. That's just my opinion. All's fair in love and war. I think about the Dallas Cowboys that have enough talent, but people don't like the coaching McCarthy. And I don't know what to say about the Cowboys. They're hot and they're cold, but they are 11-5. They're winners of the NFC East for the 2nd year in a row. There's only so much Jerry Jones can do if another team has assistants opening oppositions to get a quarterback, a head coach, and that's when you look at Dan Quinn and also Kellen Moore. But I think about it, Prince turned around the defense. Even though they lost a game to Arizona at home, Moore's been in Dak Prescott's ear from the beginning, starting with a 3rd defensive coordinator in 3 seasons. Under Mike McCarthy, perhaps shifting the offensive scheme would not be the best way to start the new year. But Dallas, if they get hot and they get rolling, and Dak Prescott is accurate with his passes, and he can be, they just got to get the running game going. Ezekiel Elliott, I know he's not the best rusher, but he can stop the blitz coming in. He's a great pass blocker and short down yardage maker as well. All's fair and level war. Number 8 in Big C's NFL power rankings, the Arizona Cardinals. They are 11-5. Even though Arizona won Sunday in Dallas, they lost 5 of their past 9 games. So Cliff Kingsbury, a second half slide. It seems like he has that every season, but he's the head coach. He's done this thing down in Arizona. If the slide continues, what should happen? The Cardinals have, in my opinion, I don't think they're the best team in the West. Think about what's happened to them. They could have won the NFC West by now and possibly been competing or having that number 1 seed going into the playoffs, but they lost to Green Bay at home also. That's a team that even if they get home field advantage, it doesn't mean they're going to win because they lost a game at home to Tennessee. They also lost a couple other games at home, the teams coming in there and beating them down in the desert. So I think when you're looking at 14 or 15 wins, if they didn't have so many turnovers or miscues, they got to cut down on the turnovers. Touchdown maker Kyler Murray have to limit what the team can do on the field by trying to run outside of the pocket so much and ends up getting sacks for a loss. But that's his forte. He likes to run around and try to buy more time for the receivers. But what that does is it forces the offensive linemen to try to keep their block longer, and that's why oftentimes it results in plays breaking down. I'm going to go number 9 in Big C's NFL power rankings. The Cincinnati Bengals, they are 10-6. Touchdown Joe Burrow's been doing his thing. I know they're an up-and-down team, and the Bengals rank 31st in pass block rate. They get the quarterback sacked a lot. The NFL, when you think about it, 31st in 2019, tied for 29th in 2020. Now touchdown Joe Burrow has been contacted 89 times inside the pocket. That's not good. That's the 3rd highest total in the league. You can't have it. They got to keep them fresh, and that's why I think they're Jekyll and Hyde. They look good at times, but at times also they can get had. That's just my opinion. I'm going to go number 10 in Big C's NFL power rankings. Bang Bang Night game, the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to give that to them. They are 9-7 on the season. This is a very good team. They get a great investment at quarterback, and I think it's going to pan out for them. They put major resources into key positions at quarterback, left tackle, and pass rusher since GM John Lynch and the head coach Kyle Shanahan came to 49ers in 2017. They haven't done the same thing at cornerback, so they can't be had with a deep ball. But as long as they run the ball, they'll be fine. They have a big investment, which was Richard Sherman when he was coming off a torn Achilles. And then in the draft, the Niners haven't taken a cornerback earlier than 66, and that's not good also. But the 49ers' great passing ability, pass rushing ability is amazing. They lead the NFL, though, with 19 defensive pass interference penalties. That's not good. I think they need more of the benefit of the doubt. They have a great pass rusher in Bosa and also Armstead. They can really get after it. So I'm going to put them right there where I think they're going to make a big difference when it comes to NFL power rankings. Number 11 in the NFL power rankings, Big C's thoughts that New England Patriots, they are 10-6. And Bill Belichick, he has the experience, been to 10 Super Bowls. Make that 9 Super Bowls, Bill Belichick, and won 6 of those. I might be wrong about that. Maybe he's been to 10, but he actually been to 12 because he was there twice with the New York Giants on the defense as a defensive coordinator. So that's all fair and level war. But when you think about it, after the Week 16 home loss to the Bills, he was asked if he had any resolutions, and he's just to keep winning, just to focus on our game and do our job. That's what his goal is, to focus on the game and do the job, and keep Mac Jones out of third down and long. They got to counter their running game and their defense that had 8 starters that sat out last year because of COVID. They're back this year. I'm telling you, this guy knows how to coach, and when you get him in tight situations, I think the Patriots will be just fine when it all boils down to who can win. Number 12, with a maybe gritting my teeth, the Indianapolis Colts. They're 9-7. Carson Wentz never won a playoff game. They got to run the ball, but they lost to the Raiders in a game they should have won. The Colts, thankful that they have the NFL's leading rusher, Jonathan Taylor, 1,734 yards. They lost for the first time this year when he rushed for over 100 yards against the Raiders. He's a major reason why they win from making the playoffs. They got to be in the playoffs and he has to be the major focus, not Carson Wentz. The Colts gave up a first-round pick to acquire him in Philadelphia and Carson Wentz, and he's lacked the steadiness to show that they can win with him in long term. But he looked great at times against Arizona on Christmas night, but we know if it shows up again where he's just the same old player, you got to run the ball and take Wentz out of the equation. That's just my opinion. Number 13 in Big C's NFL power rankings. The Philadelphia Eagles have a big game coming up this weekend with the Dallas Cowboys. That's a game that Dallas has already wrapped up the East. They shouldn't rest any players, though. Philadelphia, 9-7. They have touchdown Jalen Hurts. That good old boy can play. Reminds me of Donovan McNabb and also Randall Cunningham. McNabb took him to a Super Bowl, and he's a run-pass option. For some reason, the media mainstream just does not like him because he has Philadelphia 9-7, 1 win away from a 10-win season. And even if they don't get there, he's still a reason that they've been able to score so well this year. His running ability, run-pass option, keeps the defense at home. and it makes the running game work better also when he throws downfield, keeps the running game, gives it more options. The Eagles, they want a quarterback factory. General Manager Howie Roseman once famously said that they had not had that bad mindset, but they got to trust him. You got to trust somebody. They didn't trust Carson Wentz. Now they don't trust Jalen Touchdown Hurts. But this is a decent team. They have a great running game. The Eagles, they got to find out if they're going to keep Jalen Hurts, and I think they should. He's got the team to playoff win in his first. Think about this. If he got him to a playoff in his first year as a full-time starter, he's only 23 years old. Give the man a chance and quit counting against him because he's solid. He won at Alabama, he won at Oklahoma, and now he's winning in Philadelphia. They keep saying, yeah, but we don't know if he's the guy. If you don't know if he's the guy, then who are you? All fair and level war. I think about the Las Vegas Raiders, from John Gruden's emails to the resignation of Henry Ruggs III in the car crash. Damon Arnett, social media profile, 5 walk-off wins to unlikely playoff chase. The Raiders have been kicking field goals to win football games. Will that happen in the playoffs? You have GM Mike Mayock, interim head coach Rich Bisaccia, and quarterback Derek Carr. The Raiders could stand to have a playoff challenge, and they get their home field advantage versus the Los Angeles Chargers at Allegiant Stadium in beautiful Las Vegas over the weekend on Sunday. It's all in store for them. They have to play for the late. When you think about John Madden and the emotion that they got going through that organization, it's just amazing with the Raiders that they're even this close to making the playoffs. It's all fair and level war. I'm going to go with number 15 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Los Angeles Chargers. We got to get the Lightning Bolts some praise. The Los Angeles Chargers, they got a big game coming up this weekend in Los Angeles. They got to figure out how to keep Justin Herbert the contract after year 3. They got to do that in his second year of his rookie year. The contract, he's only making $1.8 million. But he's a big-time player who makes big-time plays out of Oregon. The Chargers cannot negotiate a new deal until after Herbert's third season. But the Chargers will need to be ready to make Herbert one of the highest-paid quarterbacks in the NFL. If he continues to put up big numbers like he has in his first 2 seasons, 66 touchdown passes, nearly 9,000 passing yards, and only 24 interceptions. Matthew Stafford already has 15 interceptions this year alone. He also plays in that same stadium. Touchdown Justin Herbert only has 24 interceptions in 2 seasons as a starter. You think about that. He's poised to lead the Chargers into the playoffs if they can beat the Raiders on Sunday night. He's building his case for being maybe the best quarterback to ever play in a Charger uniform since touchdown thrower Dan Fouts, all's fair in Levin War. Number 16 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Baltimore Ravens are 8-8, but this team is all banged up. The Ravens have suited up 75 players this season, tying the 2020 for the most in a team history. They've think about this. They started 45 different players for at least one game. 45 different players for at least one game. Is that amazing? That's too many different players. But they got them. And they still have a chance to get into the playoffs. Isn't that something? Lamar Jackson, who's never missed a game due to injury in his first 3 seasons, could not avoid the sideline this year because of a right ankle injury. He's forced him to miss the past 3 games. When healthy, the Ravens believe they're a Super Bowl contender. But with Jackson being hurt, then you see there may be a 500 teams. Number 17, Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Miami Dolphins, they are 8-8. When I think about this team, they spent 4 top 90 picks on offensive linemen since 2019. They still own the worst pass-blocking offensive line in 2021. Nearly $80 million of projected cap space in this offseason. They still haven't decided if they want Tua Tagovailoa or if they're waiting for Deshaun Watson to come on the scene. But Miami has a decision to make when it comes to quarterback, whether it's Tua or shop for somebody else. Either way, they got to figure out how to play consistent throughout the year. They had a losing streak coming into the season, and then they went off 7 in a row before losing at Tennessee. All's fair in level war. Number 18, the Pittsburgh Steelers are 8-7-1. Mike Tomlin will never have a losing season, or at least up to now, has never had a losing season in his 15 years. The worst they can do is 8-1. But it looks like they may go to 9-7-1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben Roethlisberger, they got to figure out who's going to take over for him next year. Is it Mason Rudolph? Or some people say maybe Aaron Rodgers, or maybe even Russell Wilson. They have a lot of issues to fix on the offensive line next season. Get the ball to Franco Harris, or would that be Najee Harris? Franco Harris, the 2, if that makes sense. But Big Ben prolonging his career, the Steelers have kind of put the the obvious off. They kept kicking the can down the road, and now they got to figure out what they're going to do if they're going to get a quarterback next year to come in and take over for Big Ben Roethlisberger, and they got to have to make that decision after this week. It's all fair and level war. Number 19 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the New Orleans, who that say they're going to beat them Saints? I don't want to see the Saints in the playoffs. They got to choose the right quarterback. In 2022, obviously the top priority for the Saints, touchdown, Jameis Winston got injured with the ACL tear, and now they don't even know what they have at quarterback now because they've kind of kept it on the burner with Drew Brees doing his thing. They got to figure that out, though. He's still the front runner for next year. They consider all options, but the ACL is going to be tough to come back from. I think with 2021, wide receiver Michael Thomas missed the entire season. Lineman Terran Armstead also missed and Adarius Pete missed ample time. But the Saints were going to face a tough financial decision about how many guys they can actually bring back for 2022 with their great defense. Number 20 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Cleveland Browns. When you think about this team, will Baker Mayfield even be their quarterback next year? I think they should give him another chance, is my opinion. He's been playing through a torn labrum in his non-throwing shoulder, so he has the toughness, but I think the problem with Baker Mayfield, he just has a hard time throwing deep downfield because he has the best running game in their division, but he won't use it as much. They throw the ball too much in Cleveland, just my opinion. He's not the only reason, but they said it was Odell Beckham Jr. They got rid of him. Odell Beckham Jr. is helping the Rams get to the playoffs, and Cleveland's going to miss the playoffs. So much for that. They got to figure out how to keep what appears to be another wide receiver draft. They're going to need that for the Browns, but they got to figure out what to do with Baker Mayfield. Number 21 on Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Denver Broncos at 7-9 on the season. They were going to start 10 different quarterbacks as well as running backs. Philip Lindsay behind center since 2016. They were in the Super Bowl in 2015. They beat the Carolina Panthers. They've gone through 10 quarterbacks since Manning retired. Isn't that something? The Broncos have refused over much of the past 4 seasons to match their offensive scheme to the personnel they have drafted. I still like touchdown Teddy Bridgewater, but this team has a lot to overcome. They got rid of some defensive players. Von Miller's the most notable, and they struggled up in Denver, and they just haven't been the same since their Super Bowl run. Number 22 at Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Minnesota Vikings. They are 9-7. The Vikings they've not been above 500 in more than 700 days. They tried to do a rebuild, but it didn't work. They tried to retool their defense, bringing back the glory days of the Purple People Eaters. Even as recent as 2017, Mike Zimmer thought this team was going to be a playoff-bound team. Just haven't done it. Rick Spielman brought a draft pick like Brian O'Neill, and then Justin Jefferson and quarterback Kirk Cousins, one of the best years of his career in 2021. But it's time to realize that Cousins is ready to move on. You like that, you like that. If you're going to get into the playoffs, you got to decide. You just already know that Kirk Cousins is not your guy. They were in the playoffs last year, and now they're not even a 500 team this year. All's fair in love and war. Number 23, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I like the Atlanta Falcons at number 23. A team that has touchdown maker Matt Ryan at quarterback. A.J. Terrell, 2 of Atlanta's best players. The Falcons head coach Arthur Smith wants his team to be physical on the lines, but they also have a quarterback that's just kind of fading, in my opinion. Atlanta continues to be unable to create a pass rush. No Falcon player has more than 4.5 sacks. Dante Fowler Jr. are 12 quarterback hits, and that's Grady Jarrett. That tells you so much about their defense. Number 24, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. The Washington football team, they were playing really good football earlier in the season, and it's kind of fallen on hard times. They got to find a quarterback that they like. No easy solutions there, but they got to find a quarterback that they like, maybe a veteran. So many Washington football fans lack hope for giving them a reason to believe that next year's going to be any better. The franchise has 32 quarterbacks since winning the Super Bowl back in 1991. Not a good thing for Dan Snyder. Number 25, Big C's NFL Power Rankings, is the Chicago Bears. When you think about this team, the Bears are an endless cycle of bad offense, including this season. They average only 18 points per game. Will a new coach really help? Is rookie Justin Fields even the answer? I think he is, but he has to have a good offense around him, good offensive line. And without a proper scheme and coaching, it's hard to tell what the Bears will be. They're not the 85 Bears defense anymore, all friend level war. Number 26, Big C's NFL Power Rankings. The Seattle Seahawks, they are 6-10. My goodness. When you think about Seattle, Pete Carroll having his first losing season in many, many decades. Many, many moons. Thinking about 6-10 for Seattle. Can you believe that? This team may finish 6-11. The Seahawks are the 28th offense and 28th in yards per play on third down, yet they're 5th in both categories for the second down. Think about how good their offense has been over the years. Touchdown Russell Wilson had the finger injury, and it's all been downhill since then. The Seahawks were 27th in third down conversion rate over the last 4 games before he went down in the second half. Will he even be there next year? I don't know, but I really don't think so. He or Pete Carroll may just part ways for greener pastures. Number 27 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Carolina Panthers. They're 5-11 on the season. Not that Sam Darnold's the answer. Cam Newton's not the answer either. There's something about this team they got to rebuild, and no quarterback should have to endure the lack of protection that Darnold or Newton has faced this year since joining the NFL. First for the New York Jets, and now with Carolina. He's been sacked almost 3 times per game since 2018. That's bad. 3.3 times per game this season with the Panthers. No wonder he said he was seeing ghosts. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Number 28 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Houston Texans. They are 4-12. No Deshaun Watson. He'll get through the legal issues for next year. The Texans and Dolphins are tied to they tried to get a deal done, couldn't get it done. And Houston, obviously with Watson's legal situation, their seasons have been put on hold. They play hard, but they just don't have the manpower. Number 29 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the New York Jets. They are 4-12. Robert Saleh, give him a second year to get his things righted. Maybe give every coach 3 years, my opinion. But the Jets ranked 32nd in points and yards allowed. Have surrendered a franchise record 477 points. That's not good defense. But it's not necessarily just coaching, it's talent. When you think of the previous high was 457 set last season with a different staff. But give Saleh a chance to build that team, and they'll have a much better success. The New York Giants, 4-12 on the season, number 30 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. My goodness, the Giants have lost double-digit games 5 straight seasons. Joe Judge insists that after Sunday's loss to the Bears, that it's not really his fault, that they still have a good organization. We'll see what the Mara family does with that. Number 32 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. The Detroit Lions, they did not go winless. They are 2 wins, 13 losses, and 1 tie. You got to get them credit for that. But the Lions fans have suffered over the years with just 1 playoff victory since 1957. Think about that. They're trying to get a winning record. Hasn't happened since 2017. They had back-to-back 9-7 seasons under Jim Caldwell, and they fired him because they didn't want to win 9 games in the season. Number 32 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-14. They had the number 1 pick in Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson, and he's a franchise quarterback, but he got to have a team around him to help them win. And Shad Khan has to figure out with getting more maybe say-so from players. You know, they got rid of their coach Urban Meyer. They have a whole new world down in Jacksonville. They got to figure out how to get some new flavor in the building, and that's Big C's NFL Power Rankings for January 5th, 2022, and I'm sticking with it. Whether you like it or not, it's all fair. We're going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. We're going to come back. We're going to talk more about what's going on in the world of the NHL and also some NBA basketball. In the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. All right, we are back for the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day and 7 days a week on 20 podcast applications all over the universe and 4 TV applications. Really do appreciate that. Are you ready for some hockey? Of course you are. I'm going to go Big C's NHL hockey power rankings for the top 10, starting with the Carolina Hurricane, ranked number 1 in the Big C universe for NHL hockey. But can the Hurricanes, can they stay balanced? Carolina's having a great season. Is a big reason why they are a well-balanced club. They are the top 10 in several major categories, and shots against goals and goals against goals for special teams. And they get a great combination up front on the blue line. They're strong in the net, and the recipe is that they are a very good team, and they play well together as they're skating on thin ice. Number 2, the Florida Panthers. Number 2 in Big C's Hockey Universe Power Rankings. When I think about this team, Florida has to test the depths of its well all season. Key injuries to Alexander Barkiv and Sergei Bravsky and Anthony Leclerc, among others. The team had a wide outbreak of COVID-19 patches, and inconsistent goaltending have challenged them, but they're still a good team. and I put them number 2 in Big C's NHL Hockey Universe. Number 3, the Toronto Maple Leafs, number 3 in Big C's NHL Hockey Universe. When you think about the regular season success, might mean less for Toronto than any other team. Love them or hate them, you got to think about you'll be watching the Maple Leafs if they can get over the hump and finally get to the first round of the playoffs. Number 4 in Big C's NHL Power Rankings, the Colorado Avalanche. Can they keep scoring like this? Colorado is the only team in the NHL averaging over 4 goals per game, which is even more impressive considering they had a lot of people that were knocked out by COVID-19. Number 5 in Big C's NHL Hockey Universe, the Power Rankings, the Washington Capitals. There's a whole lot of nitpicks about with Washington this season, except for what they can do with the bad power play. First, you've got to look at the NHL's all-time leading play goal scorer. That's the great Alex Ovechkin on the ice. He loves ice in his cup, and he likes skating on it too. That's why I put them at number 5 in Big C's NHL Power Rankings. Number 6, I got to get my producer to wake up, like Radio Raheem. Wake up! The Lightning, Tampa Bay Lightning in Big C's NHL Power Rankings. Number 6. Not since the New York Islanders won 4 straight Stanley Cups since 1980 to 1983. They have the NHL achieve this three-peat. The NHL might do it with the Lightning this year. They're a very good franchise. Tampa could be next if they stumble into 2022 with 3 straight losses. But it's not. It's just early. It's still early. That's a very good team on ice. Number 7 in Big C's NHL Power Rankings, the New York Rangers. We know New York has a great sports town. They have goaltending Igor Strinskin, and we know that Chris Kender is having an underrated season. Adam Fox is a terrific defender. This is a good team on ice. NHL and New York, they go together only behind football, basketball, and baseball, but the NHL is still there in New York, and the Islanders are coming in Big C's. Actually, the New York Rangers coming in number 7 in Big C's NHL Power Rankings. Number 8 in Big C's NHL Power Rankings, the St. Louis Blues with Jordan Karov and Vladimir Tavitsky. Lately, you know St. Louis has been scoring a lot lately. They have a lot riding on the ice, skating on the ice in St. Louis. The Blues defense that needs to pay more attention to really keeping them in another shot at pursuing a North Stanley's Cup. They got it just a couple years ago. This is a fine team, and they'll be right back in the thick of things. The number 9 in Big C's NHL Hockey Power Rankings Universe, the Calgary Flames. When you think about it, they had an outbreak of COVID-19, seemed like everybody has this year. But Calgary was among the NHL's elite, and now the Flames have won the first 2 back into action. There's a lot of ground to make up, but they have the team that can do it. Just don't have that flame burner too hot on ice, if that makes sense to you. Number 10 in Big C's NHL Hockey Universe, the Minnesota Wild. The new year got off to a rocky start in Minnesota with a 6-4 loss to St. Louis in the Winter Classic following 12 days without games due to COVID-19 postponement and the holidays. Regardless of that, I think the Wild's 5th straight defeat and 3rd time in that stretch. They've allowed 6 or more goals. How Minnesota gets out of it? Just keep winning. They just got to keep winning. It's a great hockey town up in Minnesota. So that's Big C's NHL Hockey Universe Power Rankings. Give them all some praise. Give them all some praise. All fair love of war. You gotta love it. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, it's all over the place. And I love so much that's going on in the sports world. You know, ice hockey's not a fan favorite in the United States. It's a fan favorite in Canada, but there's still a lot of great things that people are looking forward to in the world of hockey. It just will never compete with the NFL. It's only going to compete with, maybe as far as rankings, it's not going to compete with the NFL. It's not going to compete with Major League Baseball or NBA basketball. But I would say soccer in the United States, NHL hockey competes with that. In Canada, it's right there with the CFL as the number 1 sport, Canadian Football League and NHL. But they go throughout the United States playing. It's just people don't grow up with it the way they do up in Canada. So it's all fair and level war. They're still doing the best they can to get fans in the seats. And usually, if you can get COVID behind you, you got to see a hockey game live in order to really appreciate it. It's very cold. The rink is usually cold. And it's just a game that you either love it or you don't. But no matter how much they love hockey, it will never overtake football the way this kind of taken over Canada along with the CFL. So I love hockey as much as I can, but I'm a football guy first, basketball, and then baseball is my love. It's all fair and level war. But I do wish everybody well as you're skating on thin ice. Thin ice and breathe. You gotta Let's get on thin ice every now and then. Give it all some praise. We're going to close out the day with the Big C's NBA basketball universe. So many things on schedule for a beautiful January the 5th, 2022 tonight. The great Rod Stewart got Detroit. They're doing their thing at Charlotte. Game already tipped off. Philadelphia 76ers at the Orlando Magic. Game's already underway. Houston is at Washington. Game's already tipped off. San Antonio at Boston at TD Gardens. Seeing Boston, they're hit and miss at home, and that's a good game coming up with San Antonio taking on Boston. Brooklyn at Indiana. Brooklyn, they have so much talent. If they get everybody healthy with Harden and obviously Durant and then Kyrie Irving, that's a team that's going to challenge for the Eastern Conference. I mean, that's not a breaking news, but they just got to stay healthy. The Golden State Warriors at the Dallas Mavericks, they're already underway at Dallas on ESPN. Tip-off already occurred. Looking forward to Golden State just taking their act on the road and trying to stay consistent. Klay Thompson's supposed to come back on Sunday over the weekend, so we'll see if the great Klay Thompson can come back and join his splash brother, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. We'll see what happens with their road trip. Toronto is traveling at the defending NBA champions, Milwaukee Bucks. That game already tipped off with King Giannis Antetokounmpo. Van Vliet's doing his thing up in Canada, but he's going to run up to the big boys from Milwaukee tonight with the defending NBA champions. Now we have the OKC. Let me get my producer. I got to make sure my producer understands. The Oklahoma City Thunder, they have taken their act on the road tonight, and they're playing at Minnesota, already tipped off at 5 o'clock p.m., and Minnesota's obviously, and OKC's not that good of a team. Minnesota's, they're going to figure out who they are as all friend level work. The Utah Jazz, this is the game of the night for the Midwest part of the country. The Utah Jazz, out of the Wasatch Mountains, Salt Lake City, taking on the Denver Nuggets with the great Nikola Jokic. And that game will tip off at 7 o'clock p.m. on ESPN. And you have two teams that are competing to be relevant in the Western Conference when the playoffs come around. Utah tends to always have one of the top 3 records in the Western Conference. Whether Denver does or not, to see Gobert go up against the Joker should be good big man matchup up in Denver. The Mile High City taking on the Utah Jazz. It's hard to go against Denver at home, but the Jazz have the length and the shooting. We'll see what happens with them going in there taking on the Denver Nuggets. The Miami Heat, they're up in Portland, and that's a 7 o'clock p.m. tip-off up in the great Northwest. We'll see what happens if the Heat can splash out to Portland. You know, Portland just gave up a big 56-point shooting performance against Atlanta and the great Trae Young, but we'll see what happens with Miami going in there trying to shoot their threes as well against Dollar Dame. And then the Atlanta Hawks in Northern California taking on the Sacramento Kings. That's a 7 o'clock tip-off at the beautiful Golden One Center in downtown Sacramento. Give it all some praise. What a great night for NBA basketball. All's fair and love and war. May all the teams get past the COVID. There are so many games that have been canceled because of COVID, outbreak of COVID, and things that go on in the world of NBA basketball, trying to keep all the players healthy and safe, which we know is a thing that you got to thank our first responders. They're telling everyone to get masked up, keep wearing your mask, do your social distancing, and no matter what it is, you got to stay healthy. This new variant that's come through, everybody still has to keep health alive. Follow your doctors and protocol. I still hear people arguing about why wear a mask. It doesn't make any sense. You got to wear a mask. If you don't do that, then how do you stay healthy? I mean, there's just so many things you got to do. So when I think about staying healthy, NBA news, Milwaukee Bucks head coach Mike Budenholzer, he enters the NBA's health and safety protocol. Just today. Think about that. And people say they don't want to wear a mask. Brooklyn Nets Kyrie Irving returns to the starting lineup versus the Indiana Pacers. Can't wait to see that on some of the highlights. The great Zion Williamson continues to injury rehab away from New Orleans Pelicans. Got to get that foot healthy. Portland Trailblazers Damian Lillard to miss 3 more games with lower abdominal strain. So he's not going to be in the action tonight against the Miami Heat. So that's going to cost the Heat. And when you think about everything that's going on with NBA basketball, I still like what the Golden State Warriors are doing. I think when you think about Andrew Wiggins, what he's meant to that team, I think he's been a really bright, shining star for Golden State to go along with their normal cast of great players with Iguodala, Draymond Green, and of course the great Steph Curry. And then one more story against Miami. The Miami Heat, they rule out Jimmy Butler, the ankle for tonight's game against Portland. So no Dollar Dame, no Jimmy Butler, and they have to get the crowd to realize that this is a great matchup to watch, but you don't have some of the marquee players, and that's obviously going to kind of tamper the excitement for that game, even though NBA basketball is fantastic, and no matter who you have, it's still a great out. It's a great out for entertainment. So I wish everybody nothing but the best. May everybody stay healthy in the sports universe. Back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, you flow like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? Ali would say, I'm so pretty, I flow like a butterfly, I sting like a bee, because all the big sea burgers make me out of my feet as they rumble in my tummy. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's all fair love and war. You gotta rumble, young man, rumble. As my beautiful mother always says, there's never evidence for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. As we always tell you, on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.